What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You're dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. Find the final little bastards that did this. They're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're engaged, and we like to get scared together. Oh, before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that the U2's figures of James are on their way and being mailed to you if you ordered one. We just got ours.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for them too, so we haven't been
box.
keeping them from you or anything.
That's because we had nothing to do with the distribution or production or manufacture of them. So they're coming.
All right, so this week we're talking about Hunter x Hunter, which is not an anime. I mean, it is an anime, but we're not talking about the anime.
Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah, but I think it's
talking
pronounced Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
We're also not talking about Hunter x Hunter Biden?
No, not Hunter x Hunter Biden. Yeah, I tried to find GIFs from this movie, and they're all Hunter Biden or the anime, so.
What GIFs are there of Hunter Biden?
I don't know, him being cool. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is Hunter x Hunter, which came out earlier this year and has...
No. Can't say that. We're in 2021,
Oh my God,
baby.
that's right. Hi,
Yeah.
we're back.
Yeah.
It's 2021.
What up?
I forgot we took a whole ass break just now.
It was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty recharged, so.
Good. Good. Yeah, it came out 2020 and
Just a couple of weeks ago, looks like.
yeah, it says December 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Written and directed actually by Sean Linden. Yeah, this movie slaps. I think it's pretty good. It has one of our favorites in it, Devon Sawa.
Your boy Devon Sawa.
Who is now just a regular on the Dead Meat podcast. This is the third movie of his, I think we've
We did
reviewed.
Final Destination, we did
The Fanatic.
and we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then Idle Hands was on the kill count.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And Devon has said he will be on the podcast.
He did say that on Twitter.
Yes, he did.
And Twitter is legally binding, so.
It is. It's,
I don't make the rules.
You make a promise on Twitter, that's forever.
Yeah.
The whole internet saw.
The Twitter is a permanent record, as Bean Dad learned recently.
Oh, Bean Dad. Let's just date this right now.
Yeah.
Bean Dad is the big news story. Good start to 2021, I think.
Great.
If you don't know what Bean Dad is, I'm not explaining it.
It's not important.
It's not important at all. Yeah, I knew nothing about this except the fact that Devon was in it, and therefore I wanted to see it, especially since it seemed, at least like the mood of it, I got from seeing just stills or bits from trailers, that it was a pretty not want to say serious horror movie, but the tone of it is serious.
It's serious and grim. As far as being a horror movie, I feel like it's one of those that rides the line.
It does.
I mean, by the end, it's like, okay,
it's a horror
I can
movie,
see what's going on here, but it definitely feels almost like a Revenant style survivalist
yeah,
film
the
for a
Devenant. That's my alternate title
Devenant.
for this. It's
Yes.
the Devenant.
Quick little spoiler-free review, I guess, is this follows Devon and his wife and their daughter, and they live out in the woods. And it seems like a pretty miserable
It seems awful.
existence, but it's one that they have chosen to live in this kind of survivalist, off-the-grid type thing. And Devon discovers that there's a wolf going around eating the animals in his traps, but then he discovers maybe there's something more than a wolf going around, and he decides to take care of it himself. That's the movie. Spoiler-free review. So it slaps, yeah.
It does, yeah.
It does a good job building dread. I felt uneasy a lot of the time.
Same, yeah. The atmosphere of it is incredibly creepy. I find the woods creepy in general, so it used its setting to its advantage.
It's beautifully shot.
It is really beautiful too.
There are so many great, pretty shots of nature and tracking shots through the forest where I'm like, that probably took hours to set up to lay down a track in an actual forest, and a long enough track to do these long side as someone's running through the trees and tracking them through it. Like, if you're in an actual forest, you got branches and trees everywhere that you're going to have to, like, just steer clear of, which I found very impressive.
I shot a few things just in nature, and it always sucks because there's just so much, like, there's just so many variables. Yeah, like, okay, I want to do a dolly shot. I just want to have a shot that goes from right to left on a dolly. If you're in a building, that you can at least hope the floor is level. There's like more of a chance that the floor is going to be level, but in a forest, it's yeah, I didn't even think of that. God, this would have been.
The lighting is great. A lot of natural lighting, a lot of candlelit scenes since they...
I don't think they have electricity.
They might not.
Yeah.
They don't have running water. She has to go collect water with pails. Yeah, no, it sucks, their life, but it's one that they've definitely chosen, as they mentioned a few times. They are survivalists, isolationists almost. They're definitely living off the grid. And it's kind of a slow burn because at one point we paused it to go, I don't know, run to the bathroom or whatever. And it was 55 minutes in. And I was like, wow, it's only a 90-minute movie. I can't believe that we're this far in. And then the last half hour, just like really, it's a nice explosive just finale of all this dread that's been building.
Yeah. I guess, should we end the spoiler-free
End of the
part?
spoiler-free stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I think right around that hour mark too, that I noticed, okay, I'm getting kind of a powder keg sense here, which is one of my favorite things. If a movie does it well, a good powder keg, which is basically just
Coen Brothers.
Coen Brothers are the masters of the powder keg type setting, where it's just, you've got a bunch of different things going on at once, a bunch of characters running around, they are all going to intersect, and when they do, it's going to be a shit show. Like, you just get the sense that something is going to happen. The first domino is going to get tipped over, and everything is going to go to shit. And this movie doesn't very obviously set that up. It kind of hints that there's some weird... it's not as obvious as like oh no, if one thing happens, then I know all these other things are going to happen, like watching a train wreck in slow motion or something. But this is just, you get enough of a sense of what could possibly happen that you're just kind of waiting, but not really knowing what exactly.
Yeah, because early on, Devin, his character's Joe, but I'm going to call him Devin.
It's Devin.
Finds a group of dead bodies. Like partially naked women. They might all be women, but they're just a group of murdered people. And that's when he realizes it's not just a wolf that's their problem, but he never tells his wife about it. And so the whole time you're like, well, what caused those bodies? And then by the time we meet that Lou guy, played by Nick Stahl, we're like, it was probably that guy, huh?
It was probably that guy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because the first... honestly, 45 minutes even is Devin realizing that he realizes there's a wolf, like a big one, a scary one, somewhere around their property, and they realize that, oh man, because we leave out all these traps with food for other animals, now this scary wolf realizes that we're a pretty good source of food, maybe realizes we're food. And so they spend, a good chunk of this movie just scared of this wolf. And then Devin, and this is what I thought was kind of interesting, and I pointed this out while we were watching it, that this isn't The Revenant. It's not set in whenever that, I'm trying to think when that even was. That would have been
like early 1900s.
No, I think earlier than that.
Late 19th century then.
Maybe that might even be, honestly, I think Hugh Glass is pretty early. But we live in an era. This is present day for all intents and purposes. This movie, we have electricity, we have cars, we have walkie-talkies and stuff. And I just thought this is the perfect instance of why wouldn't he just, if it's that scary, just take your family and go somewhere for the night. Or until you figure, like, just something, if it's that big of a threat to your family. But then
that's not who he is.
Exactly. That's what I think it's such an interesting thing to have this set in the present, because that character has to make a choice to stay. if you see that, because we see, I think maybe even purposely, the mom driving a car, and we see that they have a truck. We see that they have all this stuff.
Well, she sees some other kids get on a bus to go to school.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
There's so many outs here, and I think it's kind of on purpose just to show that the type of guy and the type of husband and dad that Devin's character is he is gonna protect his homestead, and he has to do it himself.
Yeah, earlier on when he first tells his wife that about the wolf, she suggests that maybe this time they, go tell the authorities and have them come and take care of it. And he says that he doesn't want them to come in with their problems and cause problems for them. So he is obviously someone who's distrusting of authority. And even though they live on federal land, it turns out,
yeah,
they are probably illegally living on federal land, since when she finally does go to the authorities, that's another little bump in that plan, is that the municipal authorities can't do anything about it because it's federal land that they live on.
Yeah. Yeah, they said that he's had it, the land. They said the land's been in his family for a few generations.
That's what she said, but if that's the case, then maybe it was land that the government then took either for eminent domain or for national park.
National park, yeah.
Something like that.
It's not made, it doesn't need to be made 100% clear, but.
No, but the woman at the police station, what's her name? Lucy.
Lucy.
She makes a quip about how the wolf probably has more of a right to be on that land than they do.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Can't charge a wolf for being a wolf.
But yeah, that also, I think, kind of gives some insight into the type of character that Devin is, and like how his family lives, is the fact that they would just have no idea that they're living on federal land on accident. It really shows how little contact they have with people.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious as to when they chose to make the change to this lifestyle, because it sounds like it wasn't an always thing.
Yeah, I think she says something to the effect of, you chose this life. I chose this life because I chose you, and you're worth living this life. So, what were they doing beforehand? What was she doing beforehand where she thought, yep, this is worth it?
I really like that conversation too, because she talks about how their daughter, Renee, who is 12 years old, almost 13, did not have a choice over the matter. She did not choose this lifestyle, so shouldn't she be in a safer position and getting an education and whatnot? And Devin just brings up how he didn't finish school. Does that make him weak? I like that he chooses that. He doesn't say, does that make me dumb? He says, does that make me weak? So here's a guy who frames everything in terms of strength and weaknesses.
Right.
It's like this classic paradigm of masculinity that some dudes just cling to, where anything that's good is strong, anything that's bad is weak.
Yeah, you kind of see that to his kind of like steadfast belief in that binary when he's talking to his daughter, and she's begging him to let her go with him to track this wolf, and please let me help. I study what you do every day. And he says something about how when he was younger, he was able to start doing this stuff because he's, she's not mean like he
was. He says she's not mean enough.
And she says, well, I don't have to be mean because I'm smart. And it's just, I think that option of not just, I read mean as just kind of like brute strength force, like very primal, but just the fact that wouldn't even occur to him as a strength or a possible way to keep yourself safe.
Mm-hmm. A substitution for physical strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love those kind of themes that are just, just under the surface there. And I do find it interesting that his whole idea is, I'm going to protect my family myself. I'm not going to bring in outside authorities to do it. And I mean, we're in the spoiler section. He fails to. Mm-hmm. And his daughter presumably gets killed.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she definitely gets killed. So
yeah, and it's weird how I'm realizing that the daughter in this, who interestingly a few characters mistake for being a boy.
I did.
Yeah, you thought she was a boy at first.
Because in the first scene, she has
Her
the hat
hair
on
is
and her
like-
hair's not there.
I almost wonder if that's kind of on purpose, but I think that character has to be a daughter specifically so that Devin, like, and now that I'm kind of thinking back through this movie, Devin's character has to die, because I think that's the whole point, is he is just so wrapped up in this idea of, I'm the dad, I'm the head of the family, I protect the homestead, I'm strong, my wife and daughter are, just because they are not as physically strong as me, I have to protect them, and therefore I cannot let them in on what is going on. And he fails because he takes it all on himself and just assumes that his wife and daughter are not going to be able to pull the same weight that he can. I don't think maybe he's thinking it that, explicitly, but I think just subconsciously, the fact that his child is a daughter, I think he just projects some stuff onto her, which is why, again, he's not letting her come with him to do stuff that he was doing at her age.
Yeah, and even earlier. And I think that along with that, he thinks that he's protecting them by not saying that he found those dead bodies. He keeps telling them, oh, it's a wolf, even though he knows that it's a man who's out there doing this stuff. And by not including them in on that information, he dooms them, because had he been more forthright with them and told them all the information that he had, they may have been more cautious when it came to helping out this Lou dude who they find injured.
Yeah, and I don't, like, my interpretation of him, I don't mean at all that I think he is a stupid character or a selfish character or has any kind of weird ill intent or thinks his family is stupid or incapable. I just think that his idea of being a good father and a good husband and a good
Provider.
Yeah, it entails doing all of that himself to spare his family the work of having to do that, especially because he has a wife and daughter. Like, I think he just has a very traditional sense of, I do all of the labor and I put myself out there to protect them. And I think maybe the fact that he lives so traditionally, he doesn't even fucking have electricity, which to me almost seems like a choice. They just feel so off the grid.
They're literally trading pelts.
Yes,
for food.
they're fur traders. Like, it is
Like,
the
she
Revenant.
goes-
It's the Revenant, but it's just now. They just never stopped being the Revenant. But I think that just seeing him living so traditionally and so old, like, he's living like a Red Dead Redemption, but not like a main character you play as. Like, he's just like an NPC, and it just is miserable that you like find in a cabin somewhere. But I think that just those visual cues kind of let you in to his brain a little bit. Just he is like very, the roles are very old school. Yeah.
And I think the film, is at least a soft indictment of that perspective, seeing as he dies and fails to protect his family. And actually, I was not expecting Devon Sawa to be in so little of this movie.
Me either. It's bullshit.
He heads off to hunt for that wolf man probably 30, 35
really
minutes
early.
in.
I have some problems with this script,
And we do
Sean
not.
Linden. Sean Linden, why did you kill Devon Sawa off so early?
He heads out 30 or 35 minutes in, and we never see him again until his wife finds him dead.
Oh my
Like,
God.
when he went off, I expected to check in with him, check in with them, go back and forth, but no, it sticks at home.
He's out of there.
He's gone.
It's like I was laughing because it felt to me like we were on the podcast reviewing these Devon Sawa movies in order of just like him getting hotter. Like, I think he's just aging like a fine wine, and I know you agree. We're such like weirdos for Devon Sawa, and
Yeah.
if he's listening to this episode, I'm so sorry. We're total weirdos.
I told him in person that he was looking
sure
great.
you did. You were like, you look really good, man.
he seemed to appreciate
He's a
it.
very nice guy. I'm like, cool. Oh man, we're getting a movie where he's this like woodsy dad and he's smoking cigarettes.
He's smoking cigarettes in every
And
minute of
he's
screen
like
time.
providing for his wife and child, and I'm like, fuck, this is the best. And then he kills him off so early. I kind of appreciated seeing a character smoke so much. You never see that.
You don't
anymore.
see that, but I guess that, would go along with his traditional
Yeah, for
throwback
sure.
old-fashioned
He's such
lifestyle.
a different type of guy. He's such a a guy of another time.
Yeah, I do like how, at least in the end credits, his wife's actor, Camille Sullivan, she had first billing. I know that.
Yeah.
A lot of the promotional material, it says starring Devon Sawa and then her name. And
Yeah, she was great in this.
yeah, she has to carry the movie after he leaves. Also, the daughter is played by Summer H. Howell, who fans of the channel or of the Chucky series may know as, I think her name was Alice, but she's in Curse and Cult of Chucky. She's the little girl who finds Chucky in Curse of Chucky and takes him to her grandma at the very end of that movie. And then she appears in Cult of Chucky as like an image that Nika sees, because I think she is Nika's niece. But it's cool. She's a very little girl in Curse of Chucky, because what was that, 2013?
Yeah, I was going to say, she would be a little kid in that.
Yeah, she was a very little kid, and it's great to see her just chugging along in the horror genre. It's really cool.
I know. It's kind of fun when you realize, like, oh, cool, we get to keep this really talented kid actor around in some horror movies for a while and watch their career, and that's a lot of fun. She's very good. She's one of those kid actors where I'm like, oh, adult in a kid body. It's weird, which is always weird watching a child actor who has that kind of gravitas on screen. Like Mike Flanagan's very good at finding those kid actors.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how he just has such an innate, like, uncanny ability to cast kids who are just, they feel so wise beyond their years. But then, and like, we've met a few of these kid actors. One of the little girls from Hill House, actually, and you meet them in person and you're just like, yeah, you're a child. Like, it is so weird. They're just that good at playing pretend. It is
bizarre.
like absolutely wild.
Or like the kid in the, I always forget, it's The Prodigy, right? And he was also
yes,
in
he was
It.
Georgie in
Yeah,
It.
like he, in that movie especially, he has to like play much older than he is, and he does it so well.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
kid actors are great when they're great.
I know. Yeah.
Nick Stahl, who I mentioned, plays Lou, and
I was looking at his Wikipedia. He was the yellow guy in Sin City.
that's who he was
Holy
in Sin
fuck.
City. Oh
Ew.
shit!
I haven't seen Sin City since it came out, but
Yeah.
that yellow guy, I just...
That yellow bastard, isn't that his name?
The yellow yeah.
I think so. And then he was
Ooh.
John Connor in T3, which we tend not to
Yes.
talk about. And was also in the show Carnival, which I watched for some reason.
Oh, who did Carnival?
I don't know. It was an HBO show. Clancy Brown is in it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember really liking it, but it's one of those shows that got canceled before it was able to resolve itself. So.
I mixed that up with Trem or Treme.
Oh, which was...
That's the David Simon
Yes.
one.
I would
I
also
feel like
like
those
to
were
watch
out
that.
around the same time.
No,
Anyway.
Carnival was way earlier.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Well. But yeah, I love the cast in this. Everyone's like good. Oh yeah, we have two cops.
Yeah, there's like Randy, I think his name is, and Lucy, who we have to say that way since she's
I looked her up and she's primarily a writer, which I thought was interesting.
You know what? I believe that because some of her lines felt like someone acting, but I think she did a great job as just like this. It was this weird case of, I was like, oh, I can tell that you're acting, but you're very likable, and other lines that you're saying are coming off flawlessly. And so I'm not surprised to hear that she is maybe perhaps not primarily an actor or an unpolished actor, but she has a lot of, I think, raw talent. I really enjoyed watching her.
I always like watching like cops on screen and actors playing cops on screen who are able to really pull off the like cop as office worker type role, because I think often if you get cast as a cop in something, I don't know, maybe instinctually you just want to play like cool cop,
Like
you're
badass,
oh, cool,
yeah.
you're bad, yeah, and
Who's like out there fighting crime.
but I feel like maybe I'm wrong here. I think most of the time are cops in the office? Like, they're kind of just office workers, right?
I think so, especially
in a certain sense.
In a small town.
Yes,
like
especially in a
this.
little town. Twin Peaks is another show that does this. That they're such office cops, right? But yeah, these actors, I totally believe that most of the time they're just fucking around in that office. And
I will say, let me say now that the Amazon plot summary, when you go to rent this movie, mentions an aging police officer teams up with a woodsman to take on an unusual predator in the woods. And I was like, well, one, they don't team up at all.
No, they don't.
Two, this officer is probably like 40, maybe 45. That's not aging cop to me. I hear aging cop, I hear like 60-year-old
I think
dude
of Robert Forster
in Wolf of Snow
Hollow. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. A guy who's ready to retire, but he's got one more thing. Not 45-year-old
yeah,
dude.
like, I guess technically aging, because we're all technically aging.
You're older than you've ever been, and now you're even older.
Thanks. Yeah. I guess before I forget, this would be kind of a fun little double feature with Wolf of Snow Hollow. Because these are like...
They both have wolves.
Yeah, and Wolf of Snow Hollow is a werewolf movie, but not quite.
Yeah.
And this is like even further in the not quite category. But you could make an argument that this is like... thematically it plays a little bit like a werewolf movie, right? I had that thought anyway at the end.
Did not
I was
have
like, this
that
is
thought,
kind of a werewolf vibe, and it almost feels like more even like a traditional werewolf, like just werewolf that when I think of old school mythology of werewolves, it's almost, and I could be wrong here, I'm not an expert on this area of mythology at all, because this is like old European mythology. I would love to do episodes about this, but it's like like a werewolf as an explanation of a murder or like someone going missing, I think maybe often young women. And I think this and Snow Hollow is like these wolves that are actually like very specifically these really creepy male predators. There's nothing sexy about them or these movies. It's like the opposite of kind of like a sexy wolf man. This is like a pure, like genuine predator in the sense of a guy who is a predator preying on women. Although I can't remember if in Wolf Hollow, I think he just kills whoever. But no,
Yeah,
I feel like it was a lot. I can't remember if there was like a one way or the other, if it was more men or women in that. But this is like, yeah, like a predator in the woods preying on women.
Yeah, because they are...
You think it's a wolf, but it's actually just a guy. That to me just is a werewolf movie almost.
Yeah, because in this one, the victims that Devin finds are women who some of them are naked, and then later when it's outed that Lou is the murderer, he does like rip at what's her name? Anne is the wife character. He rips at her clothes.
Yeah.
So you see, it's like, oh, that's his MO.
Yeah, and in kind of this like they find him outside and they drag him inside and his leg is all hurt and
yeah, what happened to him?
I'm guessing Devin fucked him up.
So there was a confrontation because when she finds Devin's body, he has like a wound out the back of his head, right? So I'm not sure if he was shot through. It's kind of, and she has like a flash of realization that this was done to him by another man and realizes that Lou, who at this point is back in their cabin, would have been responsible. So yeah, I assume that Devin found him. There was a confrontation. Devin injured him, but he killed Devin and then tried to get away.
Yeah.
And that's when they find him howling out there, being hurt. In fact,
I'm wondering if his leg was fucked up from one of the bear traps.
Could have been a trap. Those are all over. They get the cop. I don't even know if the cop survives. I don't
know either.
Because Lucy brings in other cops at the very end. Because the one guy, Randy, the cop who we're following, ends up stepping in a trap and then putting his hand in another trap.
Oh, man. It's like
rough.
he just sideshow bobs it right into that other bear trap. Hey, I want to talk to you about our sponsor this week, HelloFresh. So, if you're living in a cabin in the middle of the woods and food is hard to come by, especially because it's winter out, maybe you just want to, give HelloFresh a try. Get some food delivered right to you. It's a meal kit delivery service. James and I love HelloFresh. It's such a quick, easy way to get in all of our veggies for the day, which can be difficult. I hate grocery shopping for vegetables because I always let them go bad on accident. But with HelloFresh, you don't have to worry about food waste. It's actually the first carbon neutral meal kit, and it helps you reduce your food waste by at least 25% because all of their ingredients are pre-proportioned. They also have a new feature called Easy Eats, so typically a HelloFresh meal will take you like 30 minutes-ish to make, but now with these Easy Eats, they have stuff that's oven ready or 10 to 20 minute meals. So really quick and easy meal solutions if you are particularly busy. Oh, and there's different meals each week, so you never get bored. You're not going to get the same thing every week. There's a very large variety, including some veggie-only options, which is what we do, and they are delicious and extremely diverse, which is great. So if you want to try out HelloFresh, go to hellofresh.com/10deadmeat and use code 10deadmeat for 10 free meals, including free shipping. And one more time, that is hellofresh.com/10deadmeat and use code 10deadmeat for 10 free meals, including free shipping. HelloFresh.
Yeah, when Anne and Renee hear Lou outside howling, Renee thinks it's their dog, Tova, who's a very good dog. But we saw earlier that Tova was killed.
Yeah, there's a real cute dog in this, and the dog doesn't make it.
Yeah.
It sucks. That's another, I think, maybe lends some evidence to my theory that this is a low-key werewolf movie. I don't think the character himself is a werewolf,
Just
but I think it is like in the style of a werewolf. It's like thematically kind of a werewolf movie. They hear moaning and they think it's a dog, but then the sound kind of slowly changes into, it's a guy who is in pain,
howling in pain. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I lost my train of thought earlier, and I had to cut out some footage of us just sitting here quietly. I love that because we mentioned that, we're both very sad that there's not a ton of Devin in this, and I'm still really sad about that. But I do like that this is a kind of stealth, like, female-led movie. I had no idea.
You thought the wife was going to die right away.
Yes, the whole time I'm sitting there taking notes, and I'm like, oh, honey, you're so dead. You're so dead, lady. I'm so sorry. You're going to die. And no, she's the one who lives at the end. But I like that, what got me into wanting to see the movie is the fact that, because I follow Devin on Twitter, and he was tweeting about it. I was gonna watch it anyway, and then a bunch of critics I really like also, and whose opinions I respect, were tweeting about this, saying that it's like buck wild and you should check it out. So I was like, okay, we're definitely gonna watch this for the podcast then. And I don't know, just thinking about how it's cool that I think this was a movie where Devin is kind of the big name in it. Because I think when you Google it, he's the first person you see.
For sure.
And I do kind of like that he was promoting this so hard when he really isn't the main character. And in fact is off to like kind of early on. Like we just don't see him. And I don't know. I always kind of like when an actor does that.
And the actress playing his wife, Camille Sullivan, I mean, she's been in some stuff, but nothing that's like huge, or at least nothing that I recognize.
Yeah.
So it's cool that she, was given the larger role, and like I said, was top billed in the credits appropriately. Because even Nick Stahl, like we said, has some big credits to his name, but it's really her movie in the end.
Yeah, it's a movie in the end about a mom and a daughter. It's almost like A Quiet Place did a similar thing. We've got the mom and the daughter. Is the kid? Both the kids live, right? Yeah. But it felt a little bit similar to me.
I actually, when I saw Renee in the beginning in that scene where I thought she was a boy, I was like, oh, that boy looks like the Quiet Place boy a little bit.
Yeah, there were definitely some Quiet Place vibes to this. I think I just like a good survival movie too.
Yeah,
I'm into survival movies.
Yeah, I was reminded of A Quiet Place a few times. Just it's survivalist, a family fending for themselves out in nature. There are a lot of quiet moments in Hunter x Hunter. And we were also reminded of The Witch, which based on they're out there fending for themselves, trying to grow and trap their own food, not having a great time with it. And I think the lighting also reminded me.
The lighting, and I think the thing that made me out loud say, oh my God, this is just like The Witch, is when the parents are clearly about to have an argument and they're like, honey, can you take your food into your bedroom? We need to fight a little bit. There's just nowhere, there's no privacy in this cabin and nowhere to have a good argument with your spouse. It's just such a bummer. I felt cold this whole movie.
It's a cold movie because you know that cabin doesn't have, heat.
No.
Fire.
This is such a nightmare life for me. No way. I was even thinking, God, they can't even take a warm bath.
Oh, yeah. They do mention that they don't live there in the winter, that they have a separate winter cabin that they go to. I was curious about that.
I was wondering if I misheard or not. I thought she said we have a separate winter cabin farther north. Like she said, up north. And I was like, why are you going farther north? I don't know if I misheard it or what.
No, that's what she said. I don't know.
Yeah, but she does want to move and get out of there.
She wants to get out of there,
can go to school.
Yep, and she even takes. That's their argument is when she grabs a brochure for a house for sale, and it's so funny to me that Devin is talking about how he doesn't want to live in the city, and she's like, it's not even a town.
Yeah,
like
you're
it's
right.
probably a very small place. It's just a place that happens to have other people, and he thinks that's a city.
To him, the city's the town in Tremors.
Yeah,
that's the big city.
Yeah.
Oh God, the scene where Devin finds the bodies is extremely creepy, and I love it. It's
Very
like
True
I think that
Detective.
was when I was like, okay, we're in a horror movie. Like we're doing a horror movie. It reminded me of True Detective season
Yellow
1.
King,
It
yeah.
felt like such Carcosa shit. Really creepy, just the way that they're all arranged and
Yeah.
ugh. And there's a lawn chair in the middle of the mall, which for some reason is especially creepy. Just this casual like what, that guy's just sitting there with a beer just admiring his work. It's upsetting. Yeah.
There are a few scenes that we have with the cops by themselves, and they are called to take care of a bear problem. And I found these scenes interesting because they don't really have anything to do with the main story of this movie, which is, the wolf and the guy who kills these women in the woods. What do you think about those? Because it's
like, why are those there? Because it's these couple scenes where these cops get called by the same couple twice.
And the couple looks very
this is their
touristy
winter vacation or
Yeah.
whatever. This is their we're from Michigan. We say you go up north and you have like a cabin and up north.
These are some trolls.
Up north is anywhere past like Flint, Saginaw,
Lansing,
ish. Yeah. So that's what this is the vibe I get. And they're in a very nice kind of vacation looking cabin. But there's a bear that is rummaging through their trash.
And the guy shoots and kills it.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be a smaller bear. He says, like, oh, I thought it was a lot bigger before I shot it. And so, I guess it's just with the theme of people disrupting nature, which is kind of like what, even though Devin and his family are trying to live as naturally as possible, they are still running afoul of this wolf and disrupting that whole process and end up dying in part due to that.
Yeah, there's something to the idea that, like, this movie features a lot of scenes of the deaths involved, specifically the death of animals and wildlife involved, where you have people, even if it's people trying to live with nature off the grid, whether it's you're kind of suburban family who you're gonna, you're outdoorsy and you're gonna go to your cabin for the weekend or whatever the fuck, or you are genuinely like nature people where you're gonna live in a cabin with no electricity. Either way, you're being disruptive to the nature around you in some way. We even see there's like a very long shot of some roadkill. If you are gonna have people or like a resort town that's in nature, as much as you want to think you're being respectful of that nature and it's all very pristine and beautiful, the fact that there's humans there, you're gonna have some, you can pave a road there, there's gonna be roadkill. You have to shovel it off the road. We get a nice shot of this nasty ass roadkill. You're gonna have people accidentally shooting a bear when it goes through their trash. And he even says, if this bear had access to your trash, other bears are now gonna know that you're an easy, there's food to find here. It's dangerous for everyone. It's dangerous for the bears. More bears again. Like, it's just, I think another kind of running theme in this is just the effect of humans on nature, specifically humans who are maybe don't have any ill intent and are just trying to enjoy nature, but you're affecting it just by being there.
Yeah, after Devon's gone, Anne, who is an inexperienced hunter, she doesn't do that part of the lifestyle here. She ends up shooting and killing a baby deer.
Yeah.
Who her daughter Renee points out,
you're not supposed to
do that.
babies,
You're not supposed to shoot the baby animals. But since they're so low on food, Renee teaches her how to dress and, skin the animal, and they eat it anyway. There's another scene with Anne finding a adorable rabbit caught in a trap, and she again reluctantly kills it. She's like crying.
She's crying. I mean, I would cry
neck.
too.
Yeah,
she's crying. She cries and snaps its neck. I'm like, yeah, I feel that. I wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, and like that's another side effect of just of Devon, like not
withholding information,
just like inadvertently leaving his family unprepared, and because of that his family is now having an adverse effect on the nature around them. I think them shooting the baby deer and having to eat it for dinner is a very purposeful scene to show like this is like leaving this unprepared family behind. They are going to start messing with the nature around them because they don't know better. They're trying to survive, but it's like, even if your intent is to live with nature off the grid, you never know what could happen. And so I think that's a very intentional scene.
We should talk about the ending.
Yes, oh please. Okay.
So I guess the beginning of the end is when they find Lou. Like we said,
yes.
They wake up in the night because Renee hears howling. She thinks it's their missing dog. Turns out to be an injured man with a messed up leg who they drag into the cabin on a sled, and they try to take care of a little bit. Anne is a little distrustful, but wants to help him. And she even tells Renee, who says, Dad says not to trust other people, and says, well, Dad's not here, and this is what people do. They help each other.
Yeah.
So, which
I agree with.
I agree with.
I would get murdered in this movie if I heard that guy, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and when he finally comes to the next day, he says that he's a photographer who got lost taking pictures there, but when they try to sled him towards the road to get help, he starts screaming up a storm and says,
it hurts.
It hurts too bad.
I can't be on the sled. It's humiliating.
He does not want to go humiliating,
but
sledding.
It's a very tiny sled.
It is, yeah.
And he's just sitting on it with these, I think maybe there's some implied kind of salt in the wound of like, I have to have these a woman and a little girl push me back to my car because I'm hurt.
Oh yeah, especially knowing who he ends up being.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can say he has some issues with women, probably. So they're like, all right, fine. This guy's fucking screaming. He's gonna attract the wolf. Fine. And again, if Devon had told them, it's not a wolf, it's a guy, they wouldn't have to worry about making noise and stuff. They wouldn't.
Well,
have
there is
to...
a wolf.
Yeah,
'cause
but
they do see the wolf by the
that's true.
the river.
There is actually a wolf around, and it's big and scary. But also,
And CG.
how big of a problem was the wolf in the first place? Really, I suspect not that much of a problem. Yeah,
He was eating their food, but still not as big of a problem as Lou here.
Yeah,
who they take back to the cabin and continue to tend to. But when Anne goes out and looks for food and finds that rabbit, which we mentioned,
she cries because she has to kill the rabbit. She kind of breaks down. She tries talking through the walkie-talkie one more time to Devin
and saying that she can't do it by herself, which she shortly proves wrong. She is able to do it by herself. But yeah, when she tries to radio to Devin and then hears his like receiving signal.
Ooh, that's so good.
Like,
it's so
no.
good. It's one of those moments where it's such a simple moment that makes your spine turn to glass, where you realize, oh God, that walkie is over there and something's fucked up because he's not answering, but it's there. It's just such a simple moment, and I'm always so jealous of writers who can come up with that, because it just seems like, why would I never think of that? That's such a good, simple, creepy thing. I liked it.
Yeah, and so she follows that blooping noise and finds him dead.
Yeah.
Confirming our biggest fear.
Yeah, that Devin was dead. That we weren't going to get to see him.
40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. We can bring him back in the next one with the Wishing Stone or whatever the fuck that Wonder Woman movie's about. I haven't watched it.
We have not watched that movie.
We can have Lou back, and he's a wolf person, like Kristen Wiig is a cat or something.
What?
I don't even.
Okay.
We should just watch it.
It's 2.5 hours.
I know it's too long. That's the thing. Anyway, that's what I think apparently happens in that. So, yeah. So that's when she goes back. I don't think she ever tells the daughter that Devin is dead.
No, there's no time, because she gets back to the cabin and she tries to wake up Renee through the window. Doesn't work, so she's like slinking around the cabin, and it's a great moment when she peeks in through the window at where Lou is sleeping on her bed, and she sees him lying there still, and so she continues to come around to the front, but we see inside that he's laying there awake, just being still. And it's like,
it's a trap.
No.
It's a trap. There's so many traps in this movie.
Yeah.
I do like too how many, like, there's.
Didn't you call Devin a trap daddy?
I say he was a trap king.
Trap king.
Because he's the king of the traps.
Yeah.
It was a bad joke. He is a trap king in this movie, literally, because he sets up so many traps.
Yep.
But no, I love how many things in this movie, because you have the obvious, like, hunter trap, like you have the bear traps and you have the little rabbit traps and, like, meat on strings or whatever. But then there's also the trap of Lou wailing and making noise, and you almost get the idea that he knows someone must be around here to come, get him and bring them into their cabin. Him laying there pretending to sleep so that she'll come in and try and get her daughter. Like, there's just so many. I just love, like, and again, I think it's called Hunter because it's like hunters hunting hunters, and there's many ways you can interpret that. Also, it's like Devin hunting a wolf, Devin hunting the guy hunting Devin, the guy hunting the family,
the cops hunting.
It's cool. There's just there's so many layers. So yeah, she goes in and tries to get her daughter, but that guy, he like knocks her out, right?
He attacks her and I think chokes her out, and she
passes out.
We get the fading white image of her daughter standing there screaming for him to stop, and that's the last time we see Renee.
Man.
Yeah, because she comes to and he's asking for her car keys, and
Yeah,
he's
and
like, "Don't worry about your
he's shooting
daughter."
up something.
He's what?
He shoots up something.
Well, it's the pain medication that she gave him because she mentioned.
You're right. Okay.
I injected you with something that when what I injected you with wears off, it's gonna hurt a lot more. And so he injects himself, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the stuff." I think he
Okay.
literally says that.
I was wondering what the fuck that was.
Yeah, it's some kind of analgesic, and
Sure, yeah.
he's looking for her car keys and tells her not to worry about her daughter. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him where the keys are, and then he goes to kill her. I believe he starts burning shit.
He burns the I think he burns the bedding that he was sleeping on because his blood would be all over it because of his leg and stuff. I think he's burning maybe bedding and whatever from I can't tell like all the stuff he get, but it's definitely the stuff he was laying on that was used to kind of like tend his wounds because that's DNA.
Yeah, and he says at this point, if it were up to me, our paths never would have crossed. But they did, and it's basically implying, so I have to kill you. He also says at one point, "Oh, your husband told you he was out hunting for a wolf." Is that
your
what he
husband
told you?
decided he needed to hunt a wolf or something.
Yeah. So he's putting the blame not on himself for his actions,
Right.
on fate and on Devon Sawa for going after him.
Right.
It's just that type of guy who's not going to take responsibility for being a murderer.
Yeah, and also I think he assumes that they've figured out he murdered her husband, or he murdered her husband.
Yeah.
Can't leave those witnesses around. So yeah, he's burning. He has like a Walkman too. He has like a Star-Lord.
Oh, that's
fucking
right. Yeah,
Walkman.
he does have the headphones.
And so he's burning stuff, and actually that's like him setting that fire is what lets the cops later pretty easily find where this cabin is. But then he goes back in and he basically, I mean, he goes to rape her. He does.
Yeah, he starts ripping off her clothes.
Like you
and
say, he's like
everything.
clawing off her clothes. Her outfit also, I don't know if it's on purpose, but it reminded me of Shelley Duvall in The Shining. She
Yeah.
has kind of a blue shirt with the brown like
Overalls.
leather over. It's not a dress, but it's pants. But I don't know. It just I couldn't help but think it looked really similar. But she reaches for what I think is a hacksaw.
I thought it was a trap.
Oh, that's right. You're right. It's a trap because
it like another bear
Oh,
trap?
this is so good. It's a trap. It's a trap. And she reaches over and she slams this fucking thing onto his mouth. It goes like around
like
his
clamps his mouth.
Holy fuck. She muzzles him basically with this trap, and it's
and then hits him in the head with something else, like something.
Yeah.
And then goes to get her daughter, and we never see what she sees.
We see her open the door and we see her snap we just see her snap. It's such a good performance. She's like screaming. We just can see, you almost see like the light just fade away behind her eyes.
Because she knows her husband's dead, and now she's looking at presumably her dead daughter.
Yeah.
She's got nothing.
She's got nothing to live for, nothing to lose, and it is time for one of the craziest endings I've ever seen.
Yeah, holy fuck.
Fuck yeah, it's amazing. She puts on his Walkman and listens to what I don't know what song is playing, but it's a pretty great needle drop. I love this, and at first I was like, oh man, what are we gonna play? But it's a good music choice. It could have gone
obvious or like nothing super.
It almost sounds
well-known.
like it's like Thievery Corporation mixed with Nine Inch Nails. I can't think of a better. Like I don't know. I want to look up what it was, but yeah, it could go either. You could play something really stupid there, and that's not. It just ruins the ending. But this music is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I also thought of Reservoir Dogs.
For sure.
Which isn't. She does. We see her cutting around his ear a little bit. So I'm like, is this
maybe
maybe a little bit of a
good question for
bit
the
of
director,
a reference,
especially with your already question you have for him at the end there.
Yeah, did you see he
shot.
tweeted back?
Oh no.
Yeah, he tweeted back at me. So I'll get to that in a second. But
okay.
So she, because earlier we kind of skated over this, but the daughter who has been she watches Devon Sawa like skin animals and stuff. The daughter's never done it herself. She's like, or no, she's done it herself.
She hasn't, but she teaches the mom how she talks her through it with that baby deer so that they can eat.
Yeah, so like, teach me how to skin this animal so we can eat it. So the mom has learned to skin animals, and she hangs this dude up and gets right to fucking work.
Oh man. Slits him down his torso, And then, she
cuts around his ear, and I'm thinking the ear's coming off, but instead she pulls his whole fucking face off.
She fucking pulls his face off, dude.
And it's so crazy. And we both screamed, and she's just flaying this dude alive and
not even listening to his screams because the music.
And I think before she rips his face off too, she like screams in his face.
Yeah.
And you don't hear anything because it's just her like silently screaming. And that's when I think she rips his fucking face off. It is incredible. Like you
watch the face getting torn off, and then when the cops get there, you see him faceless.
Yes,
and it's terrifying.
It is such good fucking makeup or whatever the fuck this thing. I'm like, is there a person? Is it a robot? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see his eyeball is kind of spinning around in there. His other eyes.
The other one has a lid, but the other one doesn't.
Yeah. It's so fucking good.
It's so gross, dude.
But yeah, she like shambles over to where I'm guessing it's where like they tan animals. It's like another kind of little shed and stuff. And the cops at that point show up, and
she's got his face in her hand.
Yeah, she's holding his face. It's like a mask basically of his face. And this is what I was asking. I asked the director about on Twitter, and I got a response, which I was very excited about. The last shot of this movie, we have her. She has an apron on at this point. She, because she gets all
like the dressing apron or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like a butcher's apron.
She has the butcher's apron on.
Covered in blood.
She's coated in blood. Her hair's all matted. She's holding this fucking skin mask of this guy. And the last shot of her is sitting down on the steps of her house, and it's like, all I could think of was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was the same vibe of like this woman has totally she snapped. Like there's no going back. Like the last shot in Texas Chainsaw of Sally, she's laughing and basically, she's scream laughing in the back of this truck as she escapes. And this is like, she's sitting there silently, but it still is the same, like, yeah, it's over, but at what cost? Like, all right, I guess I'm safe now, but
yeah, there's no coming back from that.
And so I asked I asked Sean Linden on Twitter if that was an homage, and because I thought it was kind of a cool, you have her looking like Sally, the emotions of Sally, but she's dressed like Leatherface. She's holding I think very purposely a face. It's a skinned face. And Sean tweeted back and says, when the final girl is also Leatherface, there's no reason to run. So I think that's is a pretty good answer to that question I had.
Yeah. Also, Wikipedia says that cop did die.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed pretty
pale.
Yeah, he was like
It just sucks because he was like, tell my wife I love her, and Lucy was like, you're gonna tell her yourself. I'm gonna go get help. And then they come back, and I guess he's dead.
He's dead.
Whoops.
Whoops.
I guess you're not gonna tell her yourself. I guess I'll do that.
I'll tell your wife that the lunch she makes you smells like shit.
Yeah.
That's like that just coworker. She's ragging on him the whole movie for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
I really enjoyed this a lot. That it was this also is a good example of a cathartic ending that when people say who enjoy the rape revenge genre, which I don't, but there's people who do, and that's totally, if you're into that, that's totally fine. It's a very big horror subgenre with stuff that I appreciate is good. I just don't like watching it. But this has a cathartic ending that I feel is the same kind of, almost like when I think of Last House on the Left, the end of that is such an over the top punishment of the people who have committed the like horrific acts we've seen throughout the movie, and you're halfway like, yes, fuck yeah, this is awesome, and halfway like, ooh, like, is this too?
Yeah.
Am I twisted for enjoy? It's a complicated feeling, but it also feels good, and it's a weird.
And it's also like you're concerned for the person getting the revenge and their emotional well-being.
And like, where does that even lead us? Like, what's? Yeah. like closure does that even give someone? So this had a similar type feel for me in terms of the mood. So if the concept of the catharsis of a rape revenge sounds appealing, which I think is the appealing part of those, but you don't want to watch the rape revenge movie leading up to it, I think this is a very good, alternative for that kind of feeling of like, fuck yeah. Especially since, again, I think some of the appeal of a rape revenge is it's a woman getting revenge. It's a woman getting really gruesome revenge usually, and that feels good to watch. And this felt good to watch.
And the guy in here is like a sexual. There's a sexual element to his crimes. You just never see it.
You just don't see it. Yes, you see he attempts.
The worst thing you see is him ripping.
He attempts to rape her,
and it's not. He only rips the overalls.
Yeah, there's no
her,
nudity in it or anything. There's
nudity.
The
dead bodies.
There's some new dead bodies. Anyway, so I think that's something I thought I had. I was like, okay, I like getting to kind of experience that like final act, like payoff, without having to sit through the genre I don't love.
There you go.
So
nice. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, highly recommend. It's very good.
Yeah, we rented it on Amazon. I'm sure it's elsewhere.
Yeah. Something I thought was interesting. Maybe I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure. So this has like a 90 something on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think in terms of like audience reviews, it's like 50 something.
Oh, wow.
I love when there's a gap. Either way, I love when there's a gap between critical reviews and audience reviews. If something has good audience reviews and bad critical reviews, okay, great. I'm very curious, and same with the other way around. So this is one of those. And
I guess if you go into it expecting more of an action-packed horror movie or like straight horror,
not what you're getting. Yeah,
you might be disappointed.
It's a slow burn, but again, it's a slow burn to a powder keg, and payoff is worth it.
Yeah. So let us know if you watch it what you think.
Yeah. Next, I have a fun idea for next week. Actually, I won't say too much in case I can't figure out a good way to make it work, but. All I'll say is put on your detective hats. We're going to solve some mysteries. I pitched this to you last night.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun. We're going to
agree.
solve some murder mysteries together. It'll be fun.
And in the meantime, you can follow Dead Meat on social media at Dead Meat James on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm at Carebeck, CareBecc on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want merch, deadmeatstore.com.
Yeah, you can email deadmeatpod@gmail.com with suggestions and feedback. And as far as the other releases on the channel go, Zombieland 2 Kill Count will be out on the 15th. Before then, I don't know, maybe I'll do a Q&A or whatever. I'm gonna slow down like I did last year on the kill counts, just give myself some breathing room. You know what I was thinking? This is the time of year when I ingest media so that I can make all those fun references that everyone... I just watched all of You. And so now I can make some references.
Did you finish it?
No, I still have to finish season 2. But it's the type of thing where this is my, ingesting period.
I'm so glad you finally watched that.
Yeah, there's so much else I want to watch.
I'm such a fan of that series.
I don't know why I started with You, but it's exceedingly easy to watch. So I'm glad I did.
It's so fun.
Yeah. But until next week, I'm James.
I am Chelsea.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.